stuff, and so I got to buy cheese, and to get a 2-kilo loaf, you got to buy it from there. Otherwise, stores have little things, of cheese. It's not very big over here.
Well, I got your Skype like 10 minutes ago. I said I'll be there in like 2 minutes, and so I was like late, and then it didn't even go through somehow. I don't know, because I did it on my phone. Oh. So by the way, I'm operating off of Tylenol and coffee right now. It's a little bit. I got a cold today. So, I almost bailed on our podcast. I'm like, well, screw it. I'll just have some Tylenol and coffee, and I'll be all right.
Yeah.
So, but how was your store run?
Well, it was pretty good, actually. You're doing the recording, huh?
Yeah, I'm recording.
All right. Well, Devin in Thailand, and we got Gabriel
in the Philippines.
In the Philippines. Is it the Philippines or just Philippines?
It's whatever you want to make it, man.
I always wondered why they put the there. Yeah.
I think it's but it's all good. Potato, right?
So you kind of woke up with a cold this morning?
I woke up with a cold and sores and shit like that, and headache. Man. And I'm like, motherfuck. Yeah, it sucks because it's Monday, right? So you're getting ready for the week ahead. It's like that. And then you wake up. Mondays will do that to you.
I had a couple of drawbacks. I mean, I woke up a little bit late because I overslept, and then I woke up with James Blunt in my head.
Hey, it's good. Really? That's a good singer, man.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like James Blunt. I mean, I kind of do. It kind of replaces the, the thing that a while ago they had the big thing about Olivia Newton-John. And so they had Olivia Newton-John songs out. And so I was waking up and always had those songs, in my head. I don't know where they come from. I mean, how do you...
Were you watching Olivia Newton-John? You probably were. No. I mean, whatever you get in your brain is usually what comes out, right?
Yeah, but, there's thousands of things. Thousands of things go into our head every day, So why do those things stick? Yeah, but for like 2 weeks, I mean, yeah, she's good though. She's good. I do like her. But
I like Bonfire Heart by James Blunt. Do you know that one? Bonfire Heart?
No, let's see. The one he was singing me this morning was "You're Beautiful."
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. Yeah, it's a good one.
And then after we went shopping today and we're riding back in the taxi, I put on Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah.
Remember Bobby McFerrin? He had Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Yeah.
Remember that? I don't know why that was so famous, because it was kind of a, it was just a regular song, but things like that do really well.
Yeah, well, that's it. That was the beginning of going viral, before going viral was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So there were lots and lots of one-hit wonders, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the 70s and 80s, man. Right?
Oh, yeah, the guy that was the kung fu fighting. He was huge.
It's got to be very, very interesting as a musician to, put out album after album, 10, 20, 30 songs, and then one randomly goes viral. Or they call it viral back in the 70s, but one gets extremely popular, and you don't really know, like, okay, the song's going to be super popular. It's actually usually the opposite. And I just know, even in business-wise, and I'm sure you have the same story, you're like, yeah, this is a great idea. Holy shit, we're going to make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
Or we implement it this way, and you're like, there's no way we're going to fail with this. It's going to be awesome. And then crash and burn. That happens a lot. I would say of all the ideas in my business life, all my ideas, I'd say 99 out of 100 of them crashed and burned. Maybe one out of 100 is decent. Go ahead.
when I finished my book and published it, I thought, well, I don't even really need to advertise it. I mean, I'm going to be rich. It's like all of a sudden, a couple of months go by and all of a sudden you get a royalty check. Like I got like 6 of them from Japan, and for like $10 or something like that, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, they're gonna no.
That
Japanese quit buying it,
Well, you remember that episode from Seinfeld where the Happy Fun Time Show or whatever, where Jerry is getting royalties from the Japanese, and they're like for like 6 cents each time, and he's like signing all the checks, but each check is only worth like 6 cents. So he's like getting carpal tunnel syndrome. It's like, oh man, you remember that episode or no?
No, I don't.
I'll have to send that one to you. That's pretty good.
He actually
Japanese. Go ahead.
Like thousands of them or something, huh?
Yeah, he had like thousands because the skit for the comedy, the way it goes is they feature like a small clip of Jerry Seinfeld doing stand up or some shit and it happens to go to Japan, and they only air about 2 seconds of the skit. But every time that show goes through a commercial or airs or whatever, he gets a royalty check. And they were doing it like 10 times a day or 20 times a day, and he would get all these royalty checks, and they were all for like 6 cents. So he was just it was just wearing them thin.
I think I'd get a rubber stamp.
Was a little bit more. Yours was a little bit more. What's
that? I'd get a rubber stamp made, and that way I just put out all the checks and go clamp, 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 clamp.
Yeah. I don't know if that fly, because with check. Well, I don't know. You would know. I mean, would that fly? Do you have to like physically sign it, or would a stamp fly?
I don't know. I really don't know. I imagine probably a stamp would, because a lot of things, are signed and are just a stamp, like from the government and everything. But the government can do everything. I mean, we're catching that now with the Twitter files. So, they can do whatever they want. So that's not a problem. But anyway, hey, did you you heard about the Silicon Valley Bank, right?
I heard about a bunch of banks going sideways.
Well, Silicon Valley Bank, I think $2 billion in assets or whatever. They went under. Everybody did a bank run, and not enough money. Because during COVID, they took away the where the bank has to hold 10% of their money in an account for later, so they can loan out 90. Well, during COVID, they could loan out 100. So that's why there was none really in the bank. So when the bank run came, bang. So guess what? What? Well, Gabriel, you and me are going to bail them out.
Well, and there you go. That was my next question.
Of course.
Well, there's going to be bank runs, or the government's going to step in and print a bunch of money and send it to them. Either way, it's going to deflate the dollar.
Well, there was another one that this morning crashed in New York called Signature Bank. They went too. Not as big as Silicon Valley was huge. They're all around the world too. So
well, and I mentioned there'd be a lot more, but the government prints money left, right, and center, right? So that's bad for us. When all your banks are going sideways and there's bank runs, that doesn't make Uncle Sam look very good. So they gotta cover that shit up as quickly as can.
Yeah.
Maybe to prevent that. Either way, they're gonna print money. And I think it's just gonna devalue. It's just gonna devalue all of our money.
Yeah, of course. I mean, hey, what's a few cents here, a few cents there? I mean, so what? So what if we're like, United States, Venezuela, Yeah, those kind of places. Yeah, they kind of sound they're pretty much the same.
No, yeah. Well, in 20, like I was telling you before, 2019, I do recruiting, golden staffing.
Yeah.
We were doing fantastic in 2019. Like I was saying, probably something close to six figures, which for me being in my 30s at the time was fantastic, right? Well, six figures is fantastic for anyone, but
yeah.
right. But
Right.
I'd like to get the bigger numbers too.
Right.
7 or 8, 9, 10 figures would be nice. But
Yeah.
anyways, I wasn't doing too bad. But 2020 just hit like a ton of bricks and cleaned out any savings I had. I knew you were in business for a while, and then Obama came in and cleaned you out, or how'd that work?
Yeah, that was pretty much. Well, I pretty much saw the writing on the wall with Obama doing his number on me in Taiwan exports. So I just kind of like closed up, moved to Thailand, and just lived just meagerly and didn't touch anything really. It's just that's just the way it is, and then we're going to go through it again. But I got another thing that I'm working on right now, which might work out okay. So that's making me feel better. It's back in the computer industry again, so I'll be working as kind of like an importer, basically, instead of a exporter this time. So we'll see how that works out, but.
Yeah, I always had like kind of a sales background of sales. I understood sales and customer service. In 20, Jesus, it's gonna date me, but I've been recruiting since 2007. But I brought the wrong person into my recruiting company at that time. That time is a company called Thomas Recruiting. But anyways, I learned through that experience not to bring in people that have no idea and that are older than you, because I was like 30 at the time. So this older guy is in his 40s or 50s is trying to talk to the schools and he scares everybody away, and everything fell apart.
No.
And anyways, so I just walked away from Thomas Recruiting at that time. It was a good lesson. But I went back to the States in 2010, and I didn't have a dime to my name pretty much. I would go and hitchhike, which even in 2010 was pretty dangerous. But anyways, I didn't have any money. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. It's fine. And so I hitchhiked across to various monasteries and stuff like that, going around to various monasteries. I'm very Catholic, so that was interesting. But what I would do, because I had to eat, I had to survive. So what I do to make money is I would sell software on eBay. I would buy cheap software codes out of China that would unlock a piece of software, and then I would, basically buy and sell. So I buy the cheap software from China, and although that worked in 2010, I was able to make a lot of money doing that. Not a lot of money, maybe a couple $1,000s or so, but it was a lot of money at the time. A lot of money for a 30-year-old, so it helped me survive. But yeah, that wouldn't fly in today's day and age. This was back in 2010. Nowadays, they regulate the crap out of everything on eBay. You have to have the SKU code and this one, that one. And if they get at all nervous, they will shut your shit down. You were talking about that, didn't you get canceled once?
Yeah, 2009 when basically everything that had a USB logo or any type of logo or watermark, because it's not even really a logo, it's more like a mark. You had to have paperwork to back up that that's paid for, and then you had to have a letter from the company. So if somebody said, okay, hey, I need you to buy these LCD screens I got. They're brand new. I've got 500 of them, and they're LG. and it's like, well, sorry, your company's name is such and such. Can you get me a letter from LG that says it's okay for me to buy these? No.
Right.
And yeah, and so that's how it started happening. So they had to have letters from everybody. Everything had to be all up and paid for. Every trademark was checked. I remember doing, well, I told you once I did one deal on some cameras, projectors, and they were, not they're very expensive. Over 100 emails back and forth until finally we just said we can't do it. And
right.
one time I was going to have these LCDs. I said, well, can we take off the back and just remake them without logos on them, without the USB logo, without the HDMI, without all this stuff? Just don't say anything, just ports on the back. And that was the only way we could do it. But then everybody's going to wonder, oh, well, man, I put it in the wrong socket, man.
Yeah.
But I still to this day, I still think it's like that. Probably now it's worse.
Oh, it's much worse now, I'm sure. Well, going back, because they did that to my recruiting company, similar thing. We had not on our current website, but the old website, Tom's Recruiting. I had a BBB, Better Business Bureau logo, because we're on file with this guy. So technically, I could have that logo on there because I'm on file with them. But Better Business Bureau usually wants at least $2,000 or $3,000 a year. If you're a big company with bigger pockets, they're going to want even more. So just to get that BBB approval, you got
to pay.
So they give me a lot of crap about, well, you got to take it off. I did. I just said, okay, God bless, because I don't want to get the pissy match with the U.S. government. You can't fight City Hall, right?
No.
So I'm like, all right, okay. No. I'll take that because it wasn't worth the bullshit. We're on Trust Pilot, which is much more important in this day and age than the Better Business Bureau. We're rated like 4.4 stars out of 5. Pretty good. For helping folks. Oh yeah. So,
that's not too bad.
But the Better Business, were you ever rated with the Better Business Bureau?
No.
Did you ever deal with those assholes or no?
No, I didn't have to because I was still a corporate branch, as far as they were concerned, even though I was basically doing my own thing, but it was under a corporate type of umbrella. So I was, so I didn't have to worry about it. I imagine they were probably with the BBB. I don't know.
Yeah. What? They're probably what?
The company. Yeah.
Yeah.
The main corporation.
They're paying the bills. But if you're paying the bills, you're probably going to be like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I would. Because the Better Business Bureau was set up long before the internet, right? And Better Business Bureau came out in the 70s or 80s, maybe something like that, long before the internet. So when the internet came along, we got Trustpilot. That's one of the most dominant rating systems, and a lot more viable than Better Business. But Better Business is old school,
Is it Ralph Nader thing or something like that?
Yeah.
Back in the Ralph Nader days.
Maybe probably before that. But anyways, I don't know. You can look it up and research it, I guess, if you ever get bored. But Better Business Bureau, it's an antiquated idea. Same thing with libraries, man. But anyways, I get off on a tangent. But postal mail, libraries, Better Business Bureau. Why do we have these anymore, right?
Yeah.
Why are we paying these with our tax dollars?
What good are they?
It was fine and dandy before we had the internet, but now we have the internet. If I want to find out anything, I can just type it in, Google search it, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get way more accurate information, and then go to some public library and check out a book that's probably going to be at least 5 years old.
They've kind of outdone, outdone their usefulness. They're just, yeah, they're probably no good anymore.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, it's the same thing at the post office. What, they spend billions of dollars on the post office every year? Probably
Yeah.
hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah. No, and we bail them out, of course, whenever they have problems, because, yeah. But no, the latest things in the news, like what's the big problem with Cambodia now and Laos and stuff like that. Cambodia especially.
What about Cambodia? I'm gonna have a podcast with the guy that's an expat, Kiwi. He's currently in Cambodia, just like everybody else that wants cheap living, like me and you and most expats in this area in Asia.
Yeah.
Right?
New Zealand guy, huh?
Yeah, New Zealand guy. So, so what about Cambodia? What were you saying about Cambodia?
Right now, Cambodia. You got to. This is Laos, which is right next door. But if you look at this, I have right here 50,000 bill. What is it? 50,000. What did they call that? Kip, right? 50,000 kip. It was 262 baht a couple of years ago. It's 100 baht now. So it's dropped like 70%. So wow. It's 70, 80%.
So where'd you get that from? Were you in Cambodia?
I was in Laos and picked this up. But I was in Cambodia too, and a couple of times. And the thing about Cambodia right now is they're trying to put on the Asian Games, and they don't have enough money for it. And so they're going to bail, I think, because they have to construct this big stadium and all this kind of stuff, and it's not getting done. So they're trying to sell their TV satellites to like Singapore and all these other places. We won't buy anything because we actually just sent all Cambodians back to their country. They kicked them out of the factories here and sent them back because Cambodia is causing so much trouble because they're trying to take over or trying to say that they're jealous because Thailand has all the tourism and everybody comes here instead of Cambodia. So they're trying to steal some of the culture from Thailand. And it's just, I don't know. I don't get into it as much as my wife does, but
yeah, it sounds a lot of petty stuff. Like
it is.
I don't think there's a lot of value. Same thing with like we were talking about in Korea, in South Korea when they were fighting about 2 rocks in the ocean.
Yeah,
people were getting very dramatic about it, and like, oh my God, I'm gonna cut off my finger. And when they made movies about it, and like Dokdo is Korean, I'm like, dude, it's like 2 rocks in the middle of the ocean. Chill.
Yeah,
And
it's the thing is Cambodia is trying to borrow all this money from China. If they go bad on it and can't pay it back, China will just take Cambodia. That's probably what will happen.
Well,
so I don't want them next door, but anyway, that's the way it goes.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it'll happen.
Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. God willing, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about it before because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I always tell people just be at peace.
Yeah.
If you're not right with God, try to get right with God, and then buckle up because it's probably going to get a little bit bumpy. And be at peace. And everything's going to work out in the end. But it's probably going to experience a little bit of turbulence. Between now and the promised land, right?
So. Right. Yeah, I think so. Well, it's kind of interesting right now. I mean, so many things happening in so many different directions. Everything's a distraction, it's you don't even know which distraction is trying to get you away from distracting from the distraction. I mean, there's so much stuff. It's like it's unbelievable. But part of it is because we got the worldwide internet. So now we know what's going on everywhere. We don't have to look at pull up the paper and just kind of go, oh, wow, when did that happen? Oh, 2 weeks ago. It looks like something, they had an earthquake in Belarus or something. And now we find out like in an hour, So that's interesting.
Oh, I always tell everybody, God gives everybody free will. So whether someone's religious or not, it doesn't really matter, But, as Catholic, as a Christian, there's two main commandments, love God with all your heart and soul and strength. That's 100%. I don't think any one of us, me, you, nobody is going to meet that. But that is their standard. And that's part of the issue. One of the two main issues in the world today is we're fixated on, nonsense issues like racism in America, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And again, people don't think big picture, eternal souls and blah, blah, blah. So they're just slow marching their ways off a cliff, in my opinion. Again.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's like it's if you read, Revelation 12, you see that whole thing, how it's going to happen, and it's it's a reality, but not everybody believes it. Not everybody, even if they believe it, nobody's really going to. Even if they believe it, a lot of people just like, oh, well, hey, things, today's going to be like tomorrow, the next day, it'll just keep moving on. And then all of a sudden, it's like something really weird happens, and it's like, oh, and then they wake up, and it's like, oh, geez. Or like, all of a sudden they get sick, or whatever like that. And it's like, gee whiz, I don't want to leave right now with, when I haven't got everything together yet,
Unfinished business, sure.
Right.
I gotta get my shit in gear, huh?
That's right.
Most of us need to get our shit in gear. We're not ready. We're not fully until we. That's what life is, This entire life is all about getting our shit in gear. To be a little bit crass about it, but that's what this entire life is. We come from heaven. We live our life here, and God hopes that we return to Him. Again, I don't want to get on the religious soapbox here, but that's what the life is all about, is just getting your shit together, and maturing. How many guys do you know? And that's part of the issue of love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. I think my theory is I think a lot of people mature through that. And how many guys and girls, but how many guys especially are in their 50s, 60s, 70s chasing girls? By 50 or 60 or 70, you should have kids, very likely grandkids.
Yeah.
You're very lucky, great grandkids, right? But either way, that's the way human civilization has gone on and on and on. And I mentioned before, I said, people got a really big issue with homosexuality. Now, big difference, love the sinner, hate the sin. So God bless gay people. God bless them. They're awesome. More power to them. But homosexuality, that's the end. A man, or woman, a woman, that's the end. And, you've had gay people throughout history, but what we have now is widespread, very weak men. Very, like I said, it's the end game of feminism. Again, I'm not going to weigh in on feminism, but like I said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I'm sure feminists came in there with the best of intentions, but now you have a bunch of weak men and society on the verge of collapse, and it ain't pretty. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you got, and then you got, all the social media that's trying to make you gay.
Well, and
make
that
you question.
Yeah,
you
well,
know, being gay,
we're talking about. I was checking out Chat GPT, and it's the same with, like, if you go on Google and say, "Is homosexuality normal?" and type on. Well, of course, yes, it is, because the people that engineer those things, Google search or Chat GPT, the people that engineer that or design that or program that, they're putting their own ethics online, and that's where we are today.